Hey everyone, this is your host Leah, and you're listening to How to Be First, the podcast where we share and reflect on the hardships, successes, and experiences we have faced as first-generation students at UNK. Hi, and welcome back to How to Be First. Today we're going to talk about guidance for first gen through UNK and just our experiences on how UNK has helped us through our journey in college. So I want to start off some statistics I looked up before this discussion we're going to have that I thought were really interesting was that 41.7% of UNK students are first generation. So basically 4 out of 10 students are first generation. And I had no idea that many kids here were first gen. Do you guys know that at all?
I wasn't as aware of the percentages, but I do know that there's a large population on campus.
Yeah. And I think just like how we talked about last time, that a lot of people didn't realize it. And then looking at these statistics, a lot of people actually do fit in that category. And then also I found 33% of undergraduate students start with a declared major and change it at least once within 3 years. And I found that really interesting because I refused to declare my major until junior year because I didn't want to change it a bunch. But I feel like I was in that category. And I think, Jenny, you mentioned that you changed your major.
Yeah, I came to school wanting to be an orthodontist, so I was in the pre-dental route because when I was younger, my family told me to choose a career where I made the most money. And so I was like, yeah, being an orthodontist kind of seems like what I want to do. Did a ton of shadowing. My orthodontist is great, but it was more of a personal passion thing. I was like, I don't feel like I'm very passionate about this. And I did an entrepreneurship program during my summer after my freshman year. And I figured out kind of what my route was, and it wasn't dentistry for sure. So yeah, I did change my major 3 times.
And I only changed my major once, and I changed it after I don't even think my first semester had ended entirely. I came in here being a biology major. I thought I was going to be a doctor because my family was like, oh, I would love to have my daughter be a doctor and, wear a white coat and stuff. I'm terrible at math and science, and I failed chemistry. I about failed math, and I was like, no, I can't do this. This is not me because, coming from high school and you graduate with a 3.9 GPA and then, tanking it your first semester, you're like, what's wrong? Am I not doing college right? And you feel like you're really at fault. So I switched it. And I really just followed my gut. I had never taken a political science class before, but I was super interested in politics and government. And I don't know, everyone's always like, you can, win a good argument. And so I was like, why not? And so I switched it, and, you definitely see the improvement after. But I felt bad when I first changed it, and my mom was crying. She's like, what are you going to do with a political science degree? And now she's okay with it. But at first it was kind of my daughter's not going to be a doctor. And I'm like, but don't worry, there's law school and other things, but I'm not going to law school though, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think another thing with changing majors that's why it's so popular is after we take those general study courses, they're so eye-opening. I was like, I know I don't want to do this or that because I took the classes and suffered through them. And then I did change my major even though I waited so long because I was like, I want to make sure I pick one and it's the one I want. Took multimedia and found out you have to do a lot of coding, and I could not do that. And that kind of goes into another thing I want to talk about is that academic learning center that's on the second floor of the library. How they have success coaches. They also have student tutors. And I remember when I was struggling through my multimedia classes trying to do coding, I was like, they're not going to have tutors to teach me how to code. I just figured they wouldn't. But they have someone for everyone up there. And I just was wondering if you guys had ever used those tutors upstairs.
I think I used it once, and that's when, right before I failed my chem class, that's when I was like, maybe I should get some tutoring. So I went in a little late, but I went because, it's oh, I don't need a tutor. There's this stigma around tutoring that if you need tutoring, then you're really bad at school or something. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to, I was having my own, image issues then. So I went, and I think it was pretty helpful if someone even understood chemistry, but chemistry goes in through one ear and goes out the other for me. So honestly, Shout out to that tutor, but I did not learn a single thing. That's probably because I had already like mentally clocked out of that class, and I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. So, but they're really nice.
Yeah.
I have used the Learning Commons before a couple times. The first one was for revising my Spanish papers my freshman year, because learning Spanish like in my house versus learning Spanish in college, they're like a whole different world, because there's like different variations of Spanish. And so I had a person there that would help me with understanding different like grammatical things in Spanish, and that was really helpful. And then the other one was like a language group kind of thing, where there were other Spanish speaking people, where we could come together and just like do fun activities, but use your Spanish. Where I feel like coming to UNK, there's not like a large population of Hispanic students. I think it's like 6 or 7% or something like that. But I don't get to use my Spanish as much as I would like to. Even if you do take classes in the modern languages department, it's not really there. But at the Learning Commons, we did have language support groups where you would be able to talk to other students in Spanish. And
that's awesome. And I also heard that they have Japanese as well. And so that brings in a lot of our foreign exchange students I know who want to take, or even those who aren't non-native speakers can go to that as well. And I think that just kind of brings people together, and I really like the idea of that. And I really wish they would like advertise it more. And just like with Spanish, I know a lot of my friends are taking like the Duolingo, and they're like, I just wish I had someone to talk to in person, but they don't know anyone who speaks Spanish. And I was like, there's these opportunities, and I think it's like Monday through Thursday, and they have it like almost every other day, I believe. But I think that's a really cool support system.
I know also for like different languages and stuff, sometimes in the union, I don't know exactly what days they are, they have those conversation tables, and sometimes they're only strictly in Spanish, and so you can only go in and speak that language. Or it's like strictly Japanese, but it gives you an opportunity to like really engage with other students from like that are international or who you don't really see around campus, and you get to just sit around and like talk in a different language or learn more about a different language. And it's really cool. I think it definitely bridges the gap a lot.
And I wanted to talk about like helping hands, people at UNK that have specifically helped you, like professors, advisors, your peers, anyone that you think has really made like a difference. Because I know at UNK, like it's such a good support system because everyone almost knows everyone too. And I still remember I was really struggling, like being first gen, knowing what to do. And then my advisor, Nanette Hogg, actually helped me get this internship, helped me figure out if I was actually graduating, because there were so many times where I wasn't sure if I was going to graduate on time. But just having those people around has really helped me. And I was wondering if anyone stood out for you guys.
So I'm always very quick to brag about my department, political science department. They're so amazing. All the professors genuinely really care and love for you as a student. It's a pretty small department, and we're very close knit. And I think all the professors within the department have like impacted me personally, have had like sit down one-on-ones with me, have even like reached out to me personally and been like, I think this opportunity would be great for you, have gotten me into contact with a lot of people. So I think like especially within the department, my professors who I'm in class with day in and day out, who have seen my writing grow and like my like speech skills grow since freshman year up until now, and like that them wanting us to be better because they understand also like where we come from, and we understand like the different intersectionalities and difficulties that come with it. They just want to really reach out and help more. And so I think shout out to everybody in the poli-sci department because they've been so helpful. And like also, they've graduated already, but there's been also, I've had a handful of peers within the department who have like, kind of like led me through things, who have always encouraged me to speak my mind and, really just be there. And when you have that confidence in the classroom, it'll show in a lot of other areas of your life. So yeah, definitely just everybody in the department has helped.
Yeah, I've had a lot of advisors at this point because I have switched my major so many times. I think the most helpful ones for me were when I was pre-dental, or I'm Spanish as well. I have a minor in Spanish, so I use my Spanish advisors a ton just for like life advice, because like it was really cool to have somebody else that I could relate with and speak Spanish to. whether they were from a Hispanic background or not. Like, obviously, the Spanish professors are, they're knowledgeable about the language that they speak. I think that, like, if I were to take a step back, though, and look at other students that maybe aren't as outgoing as we are now, there are a lot of students that don't get that. They don't get a department that, or like, even there's probably poli-sci kids that aren't super like involved or maybe don't do that well in classes, so they don't get the access to different opportunities. So I see it from that perspective too. Like, there are a lot of kids that just haven't found their niche of people, or they haven't found like a cool friend group that they could be with. They're kind of just still staying in their dorms and still being like ghosts, you know, in their residence hall, that don't really get out of their comfort zone and don't seek out help from professors or the learning commons or anything like that. So I mean, I think the goal is always to try to get those kids to things with you and kind of just like help them up, because sometimes they need the help.
Yeah, and I like how you talk about like your department kind of like your group, and you like me and Jenny are in the same department, and I feel like I relate to a lot of the people in there. And I couldn't tell you who told me this, but someone a while back told me, look at your professors. Those are going to be like your coworkers in the future. Do you like them? I was like, I love my professors. Like, these are the types of people I want to work with, like outgoing, super nice, friendly, hardworking people. And I was just always thought that was kind of a cool little fact. And I was like, look at your professors. And I was like, yeah, they're all like really great people. So looking back at freshman year, being first gen and coming in, everything is new. Was there like an intimidation factor at all when it came to like talking to peers, professors, chair departments, anything like that?
Yeah. Definitely, yeah. I think a lot with coming first gen is this, what's it called? This imposter syndrome kind of thing. Yeah. Where you feel like every hard work that you have isn't really like truly your hard work, and because you deserve it because of luck and stuff. And so like coming in and like seeing that, oh my gosh, these people have doctorates, like they get called doctor, they're like experts in their fields, and they're like supposed to be teaching me. And I just came out of high school, I had no idea what I'm about to do. And so it's kind of like, how do I approach them? Like, how do I address them properly? And like an email and those kinds of things. Like, can I really just go into office hours? Can I really just talk to them like normal people? And surprise, you can, because they are just regular people. And I think it took a lot of like talking to first like my peers and like the people I sit next to in class to get comfortable first, and then them being like dude, it's okay, like they're gonna talk to you. Or just from the beginning, like when a professor continues to let you know like you can always come in and talk to me, stuff like that. The open door policy here at UNK is really important too. I think the fact that if a professor's in their office and they're not in the meeting, like their doors are open for students, like that, it just enhances like such a welcoming environment. But definitely like being first gen and having an imposter syndrome and not feeling like I could really connect or talk to a professor kind of prevented me from getting help at the very beginning. If I would have known that like it's okay and that, you know, you're young still and you're going to make mistakes and they totally see that and you're not at fault for everything, then I probably would have reached out for help earlier. So, yeah. Yeah,
I definitely felt the same way, especially when I was in the pre-dental field. I didn't want to ever go to my professor's office, and I was just scared because, yeah, it was like, oh, they're smarter, obviously, than me. They know this a lot better than I do. And even in my classes, I was just kind of, like, uncomfortable with, like, asking other students for help because I was like, oh, like, I have to ask them for their Snapchat and then, like, figure out a way to, like, set up a study group or something. But, like, your first semester, first week, first month in college, you're just trying to figure out what works for you and what, like, absolutely doesn't. So I definitely had a lot of fear going into that. And then just like stepping into like the communications department, everyone was just so open and everybody was like wanting to help you. Like they would reach out to you for help instead of the other way around. Where I feel like our freshman, sophomore year, it's more being in larger classes with not that much focus on the students. But like we do because our university is so much smaller than other sister colleges. So it's like, it's really nice to know that at UNK there was like a more of a focus because now in our classes there's like 8 kids. Yeah. And so our professors know when we're not there and they know what we're missing out on, and that way they're able to help us from there. But I was definitely like terrified.
And I just love how like they like almost like beg you to come into their office hours. So like, please come in if you need help at all, and we'll tell you at like the end of almost every class. And I still remember that first semester, I refused. I was not going to go in there by myself. And then at one point, I was like, I think it was like the end of the semester, going into finals. I was like, I need help. And so then I finally went in, and I was like, I should have been coming to these office hours all along, because what you can get done in 20 minutes of office hours took 2 days of emails to get across. Yeah. And I was just like, just going in and getting that help and like everything clicking right away, just having that one-on-one. I was like, man, I should have done this so long ago. But I just love that they really promote it, and like they really do want you to come in. They love it too. Yeah, you can just tell they love doing their job, and I think that helps you like feel comfortable going in, and you don't feel like you're a burden. Because I feel like that was a big thing. I was like, I don't want to be a burden. I feel like everyone else knows what they're supposed to be doing. How do I not know? And I feel like that's the imposter syndrome coming in, of telling you like you're not good enough. You, even though you put in all the hard work to get there, you're like, it was a fluke. Like, I don't deserve to be here. But after that first year, I think a lot of realization happened, and my eyes were definitely open after a while.
Yeah, I think with like you mentioned something that kind of made me think of being a first generation, and then having a family where like for me, like my parents had no idea what college. They still probably have no idea what my environment looks like in college. And so growing up, I feel like for me, it was always figure it out. It wasn't ever like ask your parents for help. And so when it came to like coming to school at a bigger university, and it was just like a different environment with like a lot. Like I was pretty much in a community where everyone was Hispanic and everybody understood you and you knew everybody. And I feel like we were lucky enough because we were in Kearney bound and we lived on a floor where we pretty much knew like half of the floor. And so it wasn't as hard to like branch out and get to know other people. But you do have that feeling sometimes of like, I feel dumb if I ask for help. Mm-hmm. So I'm just not. And then we get to the end of the semester going in the office hours like, hey, so I kind of need help. I don't know why I didn't come in early.
And I feel like it's them trying to make you like self-sufficient and independent, but also like, and so you think not going is being independent and self-sufficient when it's actually the opposite. You're like, if I would have just gone in and done this, it would have been so much more efficient. I would have gotten stuff done faster. I would actually understand what I'm reading or doing or trying to get across. But yeah, I think it is just kind of like a stigma against it, getting help. And I know that's just like a big thing for first gen too, because you want to be so independent, but you can still be independent and get that help.
And I think a lot with being first gen is like you really put a lot of the blame on yourself and a lot of the fault on yourself, because it's like you have no one else to compare yourself to in this kind of environment other than students who like are excelling in courses and do have family members who have gone to college and understand this so they can get support. And so when you don't see that, you compare yourself to them and you're like, oh, it's all me, it's all me, it's all me. When really it's like, as a first generation student, you really have to learn how to give yourself grace and like be kind to yourself, because it's like you've had nobody else to look up to and nobody else to really teach you this. So it's like I'm my own role model at this point, and I'm just kind of, you know, taking it day by day and those kinds of things. So it's really hard. It's like been nice to see that transition of like putting the blame on myself constantly, like since my freshman year, not being able to get help, to coming down, being able to really like get that closure and be like, well, I didn't know what I didn't know, and like I had nobody else to look up to or nobody else to really reach out to, and not feel like I'm at fault or compare myself to others who don't have that same background as me. So
yeah.
I know you said so at UNK they have a disability and services for students, and I know we talked about this earlier and that you've used it before. Mm-hmm. Can you go a little into that for me?
Yeah, so I just recently enrolled in it, I believe last spring, and it took a long time for me to enroll in it. I got late diagnosed with ADHD, I think about 2 years ago, and so that's just really intense all in itself, is like learning that your brain is completely wired entirely different than most of the population, and it affects the way, you know, sometimes your communication style, your time management especially, you know, like distractions and those kinds of things. And as a student and who has ADHD, and especially as a woman with ADHD, because ADHD and men and women are very different and they come out as really different, you know, having time management, it may seem super easy for some people to just have a plan or an organization, but like my brain doesn't work like that. And so with the disability services, you go in and you talk to them, and they have to get like your doctor's note and stuff to know what you have to better accommodate you, and you kind of tell them what you think works best for you. And they suggest things like, for example, I have to go in and talk to my professors at the beginning of every semester and let them know and just have a conversation with them and being like, sometimes I get into these modes where I'm stuck and I can't do my work even though I need to do my work and I absolutely have to, but like I just can't move. My brain doesn't want to think, and it's just really difficult. I see time very differently. Like if I have an appointment in 3 hours, my brain thinks that I can't do anything for 3 hours. I have to completely wait and I can't do anything. And so those 3 hours I could be doing homework and stuff, but my brain's just thinking that I have an appointment. So I can't do anything between those 3 hours. And that really cuts into my study time and like when I get my stuff done, and also like perfectionism and being a procrastinator is like really bad, because if there's no deadline, I don't see the immediate sense and urgency to need to get my work done. So like it's just a lot. And so when you go and you talk to them and you let your professors know, they're able to work out a plan for you. They're more understanding of your situation, and they can be like, okay, I'll give you maybe an extra 2-3 days to complete this assignment past the due date if you come in and talk to me, and those kinds of things. So they'll set up ways for you as a student to succeed better, because everyone has not everyone, but everyone under the Disability Services Office has something that they maybe just need a little extra push to meet at the level where everyone else normally is, and there's nothing wrong with having the help to get you where everyone else is and to succeed the way that all other students are doing. And it's just another way for you to do better. And as a first generation student who has ADHD, like my family, they would tell me for a really long time that I don't have it, and so that really impacted me a lot in getting help and getting all my medications and things like that. But the Disability Service Office is really there for you as a student. They let you register for classes earlier because it really helps you like align your schedule best. I'm not a morning person. I can't do mornings. And so by registering early, I can pick the times that I need my courses at so they don't fill up too much easier. But that's just from my experience, and I know that other students have different accommodations and different needs and different things that they'll talk with their professors and within the office. So it's catered to each person uniquely. But I'm really thankful for them, and I wish I would have started using it earlier and not been so afraid. And I honestly wish I would have gotten diagnosed earlier, but I mean, I can only do with what I have now. But I'm thankful regardless, yeah.
That's awesome. I'm like so accommodating and like understand, like I think that's huge. Yeah. And let's go into something that's like kind of similar, is the TRIO student support services. Just with helping out students who may need like a little extra push to get where they need to be. Have you guys heard of TRIO at all? Mm-hmm. I was gonna say, I think quite a few students are involved. To be eligible to be in TRIO, you have to be either like a first generation student, income eligible, or a student with a disability. And so basically what I found TRIO was just like kind of bridging the gap between like students and faculty and then like students and their support systems. They also offer academic and peer mentoring, which I always find helpful to have like a peer mentor instead of like going straight to your professor. Just with like how we talked about intimidation factors, it's always easier to talk to someone your own age. You feel like you relate to them more, and just like in general being more comfortable. And then participants within TRIO receive individualized attention and also can have like plans set out for them to help them reach success. And so I know that would have been really helpful for me freshman year, because I really struggled with like schedules and like due dates and like just in general getting my stuff done on time, and then knowing when it's due, and like having that many classes, so many different due dates, and just like getting all like combobulated and like not knowing what's going on. Like they're there to help, and so you can go in for like, I think they said it was like an hour each week. You can go in and they'll help you like write out a plan. And I think that helps so much, just seeing it all out on paper and having someone like hold you accountable almost to a point. You don't want to be like feeling like your mom is helping you and like breathing down your neck and like making sure, but they're like there to take that extra step with you to make sure you're reaching your goals and succeeding. And I was wondering if any of you guys use Trio at all.
I've never used Trio personally, but I know about them because our sorority, Sigma Lambda Gamma, that's part of our philanthropy, and so we support Trio because as a multicultural sorority, like we see a lot of our students who are first gen and they have they're low income and they need that assistance and stuff. So that's the only way I've ever really had a connection with them. But other than that, I haven't been involved with Trio.
I haven't used Trio myself. I know that it's been available to me since like last year. I know that I could sign up for it, but yeah, I know my friend Claudia. She was actually a Trio mentor last year, and I think she really enjoyed that because she was able to develop her skills as a leader, and she was kind of like a life coach, which is kind of what I am for people, which is awesome to see her kind of grow through that too. So for mentors in the program, I think it's a really great way to take a step back and be like a better listener and learn how to help other people and help them reach their goals. But I think that the academic plan has been really cool because it didn't only help her help other people, but it helped her help herself with her academics because she's just like she was a really great student here at UNK. But I think that, just having access to something that can be more of like a one-on-one thing with a student is a lot better than having to go to your professors every time, especially when you are a first-gen student or a person that has a disability that needs more help than other people. I feel like it's good to have a community of people in the Trio office for sure.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining me today. I'm really glad we got to share all those stories about how like UNK has helped us through our college career. And thank you guys for joining us for another episode of How to Be First. We hope to see you next time.